All right, here we go. Cattle on feed and monthly slaughter. This was the slaughter report or the slaughter totals for September and on feed numbers as of October 1st. First, the cattle on feed totals. Last month's report, we came in at 11.3 million. We placed a record large 2.2 million, marketed 1.8 million. That I felt like was a good number. We had, I think, one less week of a marketing week. And I'll show you that number compared to other months as a pretty decent number. This appearance was 58,000, giving us a grand total on feed as of October 1st of 11.7 million. Month over month totals came in at 323,000 more head, giving us a placed to marketed ratio of 1.2. Looking for a more bullish number of 1 or less. But seasonally, that is about normal. I like to look at the month over month totals, as you know, to give us kind of a pace that we're on. 2020 last month, so I think we're in the 700,000 range. And since we added cattle or added to our on feed numbers, we are now at 319,000, less than we started out the year. Last year we were down 405,000 and then really increased our herd numbers through the final stretch of the year. We actually see a normal pattern of less head going into November and December. In the glory days, we ended up actually feeding less cattle. That was back in the buck 60 live days. But since 17, 18, and 19, we've seen herd increases, and therefore our prices aren't as good. I expect our final 2020 number to probably be positive as we move cattle forward faster because of our drought conditions in the pastures. We're going to see lighter weight cattle coming into the feedlots. When looking at month over month totals, what are we going to expect for out of the November report? And here's a look at all of the years since 2014, how we saw huge increases for that report. So I expect 2020 to be the same, if not more. So, look for a even bigger cattle on feed number coming in for next month. Here's a Bloomberg article kind of spelling out what I have been saying. And it just says, as of October 1st, we have 11.7 million head, and that's a record since 96. Placements jump big. And why is that? It's because of the drought conditions in the U.S. and our withering grazing pastures. So calves are gonna come out of the pasture lighter weight and nowhere to go except for the feedlot. And we're gonna see that in the placements moving forward. Now I'll look at the cattle on feed in monthly comparisons. We had started August a big number. Actually, the placements and bringing the cattle forward, I think, started October and then last month, as we've seen these spikes, and has continued into October. November usually sees a pretty big cattle on feed number, and 19 showed, and just for December showed huge increase. So I expect to see that again. This is a look at our numbers compared to 19 5 and 10-year averages, and of course we're above them both. I would expect this trend to continue, and then I'm kind of wondering, since we're bringing all these cattle forward faster, if we're not going to start seeing maybe even a decline in December and January, February. We'll just see if we keep climbing high. That doesn't bode well for our markets. But I think we're going to see, since we're bringing them in earlier, I think we're going to see at the end of maybe this year, beginning of next year, that our on-feed numbers might even start coming down a little bit. It just depends on how we're able to slaughter cattle. Here's a look at our current cattle on feed as a percentage of 10-year accumulated. We came in at 106.59, still less than last year actually, but we've been climbing and climbing. We were on a great trend earlier this year, and then pandemic hit, and now we are sorting out this backlog of cattle that are sitting ready to be slaughtered. So I expect our cattle on feed as a percentage of 10-year to continue higher. Place numbers for our October report were the biggest ever, I think, and it was definitely the biggest in the last 5 years. And so we've seen quite a few placements since August. They're again kind of telling the story that we're bringing calves in earlier than normal. November also sees a pretty big month, as we see right here. Even our 5 and 10-year averages tell us that we're going to bring in more placed animals through November, and then as the calves, we get fewer and fewer calves to bring in, we're going to see a drop in December, and I expect that to happen. And I kind of wonder if the drop isn't going to be larger than normal. I don't know. Well, we're going to see, but since we're bringing these calves in earlier, are we going to see an earlier decline in our place numbers? And time will tell. The one bright spot in the cattle on feed was our marketing numbers. In October, the report saw really great marketing number. Respectable in September, not great, but decent, really good in August. So that's a good demand indicator that our processors are wanting the cattle, and they're doing a good job of moving the backlog. And a lot can be done, needs to be done. We still, I think, close to that million head backlog. So we need this marketing number to continue to get rid of all of the slaughter ready cattle. So a good number in the marketings. Here we are compared to last year on a 10-year average and above them both. So our marketing number was pretty decent. And now our place versus marketed came in at 1.2, right exactly in our averages. And of course, because of our place numbers going up, increasing this time of year, we're going to see the place marketed ratio continue higher. We're looking for something 1 or below is, to me, considered bullish. But we naturally or seasonally climb higher this time of year because of our bigger place numbers, and typically our marketing numbers are less too, because the grilling season is at an end, and the demand is not as great as it was earlier in the summer. So now we go into our slaughter and our demand side. And the slaughter totals come out a day before the COF report, and we slaughtered 2.8 million head. Our live weights were big, 1,379 pounds, dressed at 842 pounds, and we produced 2.3 million pounds of beef. Monthly comparison. So this report was for our September slaughter, and it was really great. We're doing a good job of moving the cattle forward. We're at 19's pace, and we really need to do better than that. But with pandemic coming, I think we're doing a pretty good job of slaughtering cattle and moving them forward. But a lot more work is to be done. Here's compared to 19 and a 10-year average, and of course we are above them both. It was a really good slaughter number. As a percent of our 10-year accumulated, we came in at 101.53. Last year's compared to its previous 10-year was 104.5. And compared to 19, our slaughter rate was at 97.14. Live slaughter weights, we were 1,379 pounds, and we were coming down earlier this year, and the pandemic hit. We stopped rolling the chains, so we had a bunch of cattle ready for slaughter and weren't happening, so they were just standing in the lot eating and gaining weight. And this to me tells me that the backlog of cattle is not done yet. We still have a big backlog. I think you're going to see our weights start creeping down when we chewed through that backlog. But if we're only at a pace of last year, it's going to take a long time to get rid of the cattle. So weights are going to keep on creeping higher, I think. And we're just going to keep on watching the weights. So that's a pretty decent indicator that we still got a backlog. So how do we quantify if this report was bullish or not, bullish or bearish? And throwing them into my fundamental factor formula. Last month we came in at 94.91%. We actually ticked up a little bit, 94.99%. I was about the same, but at least we didn't go down. We kind of crept up a little bit. So hopefully this number will keep on going higher. But slaughter, we got the big supply, and slaughter's got to come up. That's the only way for right now that this number will improve. Oops, I don't know what I did. So there's a look at our cattle on feed and monthly slaughter. So, bearish on supply, bullish on demand, looking at the slaughter. So that's what I think. I don't see prices improving dramatically, and I don't really see prices going down all that much either, but it's pretty steady, and we got to keep on slaughtering. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention. Cold storage did come out, and I was surprised that we were 13% under last year's totals, which, it kind of tells me that the grocery stores are getting rid of the beef. So, and we got room to expand our slaughter or our processing. So that's a good sign. I think demand is pretty decent, and I will probably throw some demand figures up on the blog eventually here in the box beef stats. So we will keep on looking at it and keep on eating steak. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.